Good evening, pallets and mercs. Today we're going to be covering a video by Mechanical Frog, Battletech, an ode to the LBX cannons. You've sometimes heard me call them LBX cannons. I do have a history with them, but despite that, I don't actually know what makes them different from, say, a normal autocannon. So it'll be interesting to see how these are different, I guess, from the different autocannons we've seen in the series. So with that, grab your sneaks. Grab your sneaks, yes. Steiner logic, we're gonna field 100 tons apiece for our entire lance with these LBX cannons. I just did it again. Grab your snacks, grab your drinks, and let's roll. Battletech, ode to the LBX cannons. Let's see it. One more time.
For as long as cannons have existed, mankind has spent countless hours coming up with creative things to fire out of them. From the classic rounded granite to iron shot, there seems to be no limit to human ingenuity. Credit to whoever first decided to replace a single shot with multiple smaller ones, as it was a stroke of genius. Going all the way.
Okay, so this is akin to like your bird shot, or I guess there are other types as well. I've heard buckshot can be this similar sort of way, unless you're firing a slug or something. Again, this is more akin to a shotgun. You're really just firing a bunch of smaller projectiles, smaller pellets, essentially. So I wonder if that's what makes the difference here.
Way back to the early 1400s, what would become known as grape shot was used to effectively mow down lines of infantry from close and medium ranges. In fact, being able to fire a number of shots in a shotgun-like attack was so advantageous that governments used this weapon against rebels and disobedient colonials. Grape shot, or sometimes known as canister shot, ended up being influential across major conflicts from the French Revolution, the American Revolution, US Civil War, and even the rallying order, "Double shot your guns and give them hell," became a campaign slogan that General Zachary Taylor used to win the US presidency following his defeat of Santa Anna in the Mexican-American War. With such a long and fabled history, it only makes sense that grape shot and canister shot would continue to be used into the future. Across the human-settled galaxy of the 31st and 32nd centuries, even though the tools of warfare have advanced to the point that battles are won and lost using terrific and terrible walking machines, the humble grape shot.
You know, it's interesting, not necessarily related to the cannons here. I'm kind of watching his gameplay a little bit because I do want to get back into Mech-tech or Megatech at some point. Because I really feel like I messed up the first time and then just kind of wrote it off for a little bit. But I really want to get back into it because it looks like a lot of fun. It's just I have no idea what I'm doing.
Still has a place of prominence.
Sheesh. That's a Thanatos. What is a Thanatos doing with a... I guess it could be the XT model. Yeah. I have never seen it just shred a target like this before. Well, I guess I know what I'm putting into the... I guess I know what I'm putting in an order for the next time in the mech lab.
LBX brand autocannons, large enough to be placed onto battle mechs, started showing up in the Terran hegemony designs in the late 2500s. These mech-sized shotguns were really just scaled-up proof of concepts from 2,000 years in the past. The cluster rounds from the LBX autocannons proved to be useful for pelting a target and seeking to cause damage in already compromised areas.
So you're telling me every single time that I got absolutely rocked by an annihilator, just swept off my feet by it, and proceed to lose a leg in Mechwarrior 3, which is 90% of the ways I died to LBX cannons, I was essentially getting the American Revolution treatment I was getting the rapscallion treatment. I'll see how it
Over the
is.
course of the Succession Wars, the ability to produce the LB-10X gradually eroded due to the destruction of production facilities as well as limitations in the materials needed to produce the high-strength, low-weight alloys that dissipated heat well. It wasn't until the
I think a lot of other players have expressed this, but it really seems kind of, again, this isn't from a lore perspective, this is from a pure game point standard. You have all these great weapons that you potentially get to mess around with, and then you just have the Dark Age period where you just kind of go, like, pretty much during the Succession Wars, it's just like, cool, we have this really powerful weapon that we can't use because, yeah, for some reason humanity plunged itself into civil war after civil war, and then you just have to replace it with weapons that really don't work as well, but that's the way it is. And again, kind of a double-edged sword, because then it forces you to use other weapons and other bits of the sandbox. It's just, that's frustrating from a game point perspective. Again, lore perspective, I get it. That's fine.
discovery of the Helm memory core in 3028 did the LB-10X start to see a resurgence. More production lines across multiple planets allowed for refits of mechs that had been built with the standard Autocannon 10, which weighed more and took up more critical space. This would be incredibly important following 3049 with the arrival of the clans. Many Inner Sphere mechs were rushed important upgrades in engines, heat sinks, and the weaponry in hope of stopping the invasion. Mechs like the Hatchetman, Orion, and Centurion were frequently upgraded with the LB-10X to give the mech a more flexible build. Along with the ERPPC, the LB-10X is one of the most common 3050 Inner Sphere mech weapon upgrades. Several notable upgrades for 3025 Inner Sphere mechs in the 3050 technical readout are the Hatchetman, Cataphract, Orion, and Enforcer. Good time.
This gets an honorable mention in the category of terrifying, especially because the LBX autocannon. I don't know what it is about the Orion, but in Mechwarrior 3 specifically, Operation 1, Mission 4, I died to that Orion more times than I care to admit. And when I say die, I mean I'd be forced to eject, hopefully. I mean, it definitely lives up to its poor man's Atlas reputation, because it just simply rocks the hell out of you. I think it's only missing tonnage in, like, armor. That's it. Armor, maybe a little bit of engine downgrade. Other than that, that is basically an Atlas. I don't know why. The Victor, on the other hand, that looks like a Victor. I could be wrong. Some of the miniatures throw me off a little bit. To be fair, there's a lot more mechs. When it comes to the Battletech side of things, there are more mechs, but most of the time they're recognizable. I don't know why some of the heavy mechs absolutely terrify me, and then the assault class mechs, I kind of just go, these don't terrify me as much as the heavies do. I don't know why.
Had by all. The Inner Sphere version of the LB-10X will run you 11 tons and takes up 6 critical locations on the battle mech. The clan version is just slightly improved at 10 tons and 5 critical locations. All the other bits of the weapon are the same between the two versions. As far as that goes, it's much closer than most concerning clan and Inner Sphere weaponry. There's no minimum range, and at long range, the LB-10X can fire up to 18 hexes, which is entirely respectable for most tabletop play. 1 ton of ammo includes 10 shots, and it's possible for the LB-10X to fire either standard autocannon ammo or the cluster rounds. The rules dictate that the ammo types have to be in full ton increments, and the player must declare which type of ammo he or she is using before any to-hit dice rolls are taken. In the spirit of celebration of the
Pretty
LB-10X,
standard.
here is my special Cauldron-born config L for love LB-10X. I took the primary configuration, ripped out all the equipment, and then wept, for there were so many worlds out there and I had yet to conquer one. After that, I tossed on a couple of LB-10Xs into the arms, saw it needed some more backup fire, and added 3 medium pulse lasers. This thing is going
Yeah, because if the shotgun wasn't already bad enough, the fact that you have 2 shotguns, you now have 3 medium pulse lasers. Yeah, this isn't going to be overpowered at all.
to make light and medium mechs rue the day. Rue the day, people. Rue. Anyway, there were 3 tons of cluster ammo and 1 ton of normie AC-10 just for fun. That's a good 20 shots for each gun, which should be plenty for most fights. After pulling out the now excessive number of heat sinks, I dropped the remaining 3 tons of weight into additional armor, since this Ebon Jaguar is going to be stomping around in the fray. I took the mech out for a spin in Mega Mech in a couple of battles, and it performed pretty well. Being able to use the 1 ton of standard AC ammo when appropriate is helpful for punching through that armor. After all, that LB cluster ammo is great for seeking criticals and getting that occasional head hit. In both matches, I put the Ebon Jaguar up against a couple of medium inner sphere mechs. With some ebb and flow, the LB-10s did their job well, as the 3 medium pulse lasers munched through the armor. Once that armor was breached, the critical hits mounted quickly. Before we go, I do want to talk about the other LBX weapons, including the 2s, 5s, and 20s. For the most part, the 2s and 5s are a struggle for me to justify putting on a mech. They really do feel like they're not worth the weight that's needed in comparison to their damage output. The inner sphere LB2s weigh 6 tons before you even start slapping ammo in there, pumping out only...
Yeah, that's kind of what I ran into as well on the Mechwarrior 2 side of things. When I went to the mech lab and started trying to fill out a spec sheet with those particular weapons, I noticed that they were 5 tons apiece. And I'm just sitting here like, your autocannon 2s and 5s are usually about 5 or 6 tons respectively. Again, like you just mentioned, I'm just sitting here going, so how am I supposed to fill out anything other than like a Mad Cat full of that LBX goodness when there's not enough space for this? Because it's just simply not going to work all that well. So yeah, he's absolutely right on this one. If you're not fielding 10s or higher, it's just not going to be worth it.
2 damage per turn. For that much investment, it's really not worth the effort. At 8 tons and taking up 5 critical spots, the LB5X is half as effective as the LB10 cousin, with only 3 tons of added weight. So oftentimes, if you're going to spend the weight and put on an LBX weapon, the 10 is just going to be a better option, even if it means finding 3 tons elsewhere. Now, let's talk about the LB20X. Pull up a chair. If you're already in a chair, pull it up further. The LB20X is a monster of a weapon. Like its smaller cousins, it
Ooh, I like where this is going.
can fire standard AC-20 rounds as well as the cluster munitions. However, the possibility of hitting a target with 20 opportunities to puncture armor and cause critical hits can't be undervalued. The autocannon weighs a hefty 14 tons for the inner sphere version and 12 for the clans, and the LB20X is a big investment for any mech designer. It takes up 11 critical spots in the inner sphere version, which means you're going to have to put it in a torso. Ammo runs 5 shots per ton, so it's likely you're going to need to devote at least 2 tons to make the investment worthwhile. What all this boils down to is a pretty steep commitment to a bit of hitting your target with the biggest shotgun ever created.
The biggest shotgun that's ever been created. I like where this is going. So I'm going to have to figure out a way to put one of those onto a smaller mech at some point. That ought to be fun.
Notable mechs that use the LB-20X to great effect include the Bushwhacker BSW-L1, which coupled the weapon with an ER large laser and bulked up the armor to make it.
That's my chassis right there. That is one of my absolute favorite mechs. And I think the LBX cannon does work to great effect. Although, to be fair, the version of the Bushwhacker I had was had the AC-10 on it. It didn't get upgraded to the LBX yet.
A nasty, nasty close-range brawler. The Cestus 7A was a variant that swapped out the Gauss rifle for an LB-20X in hope of making it a close.
I'm sorry, what did you just call that thing?
Notable mechs that use
Run
the
that by me one
LB-20X
more
to great
time.
effect include the Bushwhacker BSW-L1, which coupled the weapon with an ER large laser and bulked up the armor to make it a nasty, nasty close-range brawler. The Cestus 7A was
The Cestus. This looks like a water skimmer from some sort of sci-fi movie. I'm not sure if this thing's capable of flight, but it definitely looks like it could.
a variant that swapped out the Gauss rifle for an LB-20X in hope of making it a close-range fighter. On Solaris in 3066, the massive Colossus arena mech was packed with X-pulse lasers and an LB-20X on its 95-ton frame. Now that mech could cause...
Who do I contact to get this? I need names. Discount Dan, somebody. I need this thing immediately. What was the name of this one again? I'm sorry, I'm just now learning about these two mechs.
that swapped out the Gauss rifle for an LB-20X in hope of making it a close-range fighter.
I need to hear it
On
again.
Solaris in 3066, the massive Colossus arena mech was packed with X-pulse lasers and an LB-20X on its...
I'm sorry, those in its legs? I'm sure this thing's probably going to be like 17 million C-bills, but sure.
95-ton frame.
I'll pay it.
Now that mech could cause some serious emotional and physical damage. One more, and then I'm done, I promise. The Hunchback, already known for carrying a big cannon in that right shoulder, was up...
This thing has always been the workhorse of the Inner Sphere. This thing does not care what weight class you're in. It will pick a fucking fight. It does not care if you're an assault mech. It will take you down. It is the honey badger of... the medium weight class, and that's why we love the Hunchback.
Upgraded a substantive overhaul in 3058 to give it endo steel, an XL engine, jump jets, and that LB-20X. It's an interesting gamble to go with that XL engine, but shifting from a standard AC-20 to the LB-20X does give the mech some flexibility. Plus, a couple of pulse lasers added to the mix can't be a bad thing. All things considered, I'm really glad that the LBX line of autocannons is in the game. After all, this video is titled as a love letter. While not always the most effective tool for the job, they can be quite powerful in select situations. That can be said about many mechs and weapons in the universe of Battletech, and that's a very good thing. I'm not a min-maxer type player and really appreciate that there are unique and atypical ways to bring pain to the opposing side of the battlefield. As always, thanks for watching, especially the Ko-Fi subscribers who are keeping this venture going and offer up some really good ideas in the Discord channel.
I feel it's
Do you have a favorite mech that is equipped with an LBX autocannon? Let me know in the comments below. If you want to watch something else, I'd suggest the video on fun advanced melee weapons, which should be visible on your screen right now.
Ooh.
Now go, take care, be awesome, you can make the world a slightly better place today and tomorrow.
I would actually love to see the advanced melee weapons because we only got a few in the Mechwarrior 5. I think it was called Arms DLC. So basically all you got was like the Hatchet Man running around with an axe, just chopping up mechs. But Yeah, I feel slightly called out because I don't know if I necessarily mid-max or just go from, like, insane builds. Yeah, it's like I don't necessarily degrade a mech, but I definitely go for some crazy builds, and I could see where mid-maxing could be a thing. But anyways, I feel like I learned a lot about the LBX cannon, and I think I'll actually go and try and field one at some point. I'm not exactly sure how that's going to go because that's a really hefty tonnage investment, but you know where to find me. I'll be in the mech lab. But like I said before, with these videos, there will be a link in the description and in the cards to go check out this video. This has been Annika, signing out.